Hello everyone, it is TooAwesome here with another video, and Moon Knight just finished up, so you know what we're about to do. I have been waiting for something like Moon Knight. I've wanted something like Moon Knight. There were other Marvel shows that came close but weren't quite there. Loki and WandaVision had moments of being great but sometimes fell short. Not to say that Moon Knight didn't have these moments, it's just that it was a lot more solid. Because let's be real, this show is crazy good. So where else would we start except the story? From the beginning, this show had me really interested. It sort of throws you into this world, but there are a few things that seem off and odd. You start to puzzle together that something is up. It lays the groundwork for the rest of the show to a certain extent, and uncovering the mysteries that it has laid for you is what I think makes this show really great. This show is at its best when you don't really know what's going on, like the storage locker scene or the countryside scene, or even later in the season with that big reveal. I felt like I was the most interested when I didn't know what was up, and when I was on the verge of letting me know, because there were parts of the season where you start to get comfortable, and I felt like these areas dragged on a little bit, but they never really lasted that long. There are so many plot twists and different directions this show goes in that the second you start to get comfortable and think you know what's going on, boom, it switches up and makes it so much better. I can't really explain much more than that because so much of this show hinges on these twists and your viewing experience. But the characters, well, they're pretty good as well. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say other characters, it's more like character, because the main focus of this show is Steven to a certain extent. Not really going to get into it because this was a big reveal when I first watched, so I'm going to be as vague as possible, and if you haven't seen the show and want to go in completely blind, you may want to come back to this video, but up to you. Like, yeah, there were other characters, but they all were just sort of servicing Steven and his plot to a certain extent, and even name dropping some of them are kind of spoilers and ruin the fun. But I will talk about Layla. I did like her character. Her relationship with Steven was interesting, and I sort of like that aspect of the show, although that did sort of get swept under the rug to a certain extent. Like, it was built up throughout the entire show, and then when it's addressed, it's kind of pushed to the wayside directly after, so kind of weird how they made that such a big plot point. Also, the villain was pretty decent. I actually thought he would be better than he actually was. At the beginning, they gave him all these morals and goals, and I'm like, okay, that's really sick. But as the show went on, he kind of just delved into this stereotypical bad guy, and it kind of lost the flair to me. Also thought he would get some cool costume, but yeah, never really happened at the end. But seriously, Let's talk about Oscar Isaac, man. Oh my bro, get this man an award. His acting here is incredible. He is so crazy good. Like, you could just tell by the look on his face the character he was playing. I don't know how he does it, but it really feels like two people. Like, oh my god, amazing stuff, bro. Plus, the show does a really good job at making you feel for the character. I won't lie, man. I cried. A tear fell from my face. It gets emotional, and I think that's a good thing because it does it really well when it wants to. But the acting wasn't the only good thing. Let's talk about the action. I think the action in the show was good. I felt like it was a lot stronger at the beginning of the show, though, because towards the end, it kind of got a little out of hand. Now, that's kind of an issue I've been having with Marvel recently. Whenever they add powers or the larger scales into the mix, it kind of takes away from the action. It turns from these cool choreographed fights to these CGI blasts and over-the-top stakes. I mean, if you like that, that's cool, and I will admit there are times and places where it works, but I don't feel like that should have been in Moon Knight. I don't know, that's probably going to be a super controversial take, but whatever. Now, I want to go over something a little more obscure: the visuals. I think the cinematography in the show was really good, actually, especially for Marvel. I remember some scenes where the camera was doing all this wild stuff and rotating and showing off these aesthetically pleasing shots. Like, it looks good for the most part. And dude, man, the music. I mean, I don't really remember any of the themes, but I do remember A Man Without Love. I've been singing it for weeks. It has been stuck in my head. Like, one of my favorite memories is me and my friends blasting this song in the car and singing along. Like, this show made that possible in a way. And if copyright on here wasn't so strict, I would have definitely put it into the intro montage as well. But it's secured a spot on my playlist nonetheless. But before we wrap this up, I want to talk about the ending. I'm not going to talk about spoilers, so don't worry. I just kind of want to talk about a few things. Like, first of all, I thought it was a little disappointing. I mean, a lot of people are calling it mid, and I don't see that personally, but I don't think it was good either. I mean, it's fine. Kind of wanted something else from it, but I guess where the story was going, the stakes did need to be that high and all that. I just think the show was at its best when it was on like a smaller scale and sort of showing cool moments or scenes, not really the large world-ending stakes that we got. Also, the end credit scene, I thought it was kind of bad. Now, I know the comics and all that, but narratively for the show, it felt unnecessary and makes the story more convoluted. Plus, there was a whole storyline here that didn't really get tied up. The whole psych ward thing didn't really make sense to me, but maybe it's my fault, I didn't understand. But I had a theory it was like a multiverse split thing, but that doesn't seem to be the case, so like, what's up? Anyway, great show though. I think the good things greatly outweigh its downsides, and this shit may just be me, you know? But I think it's the best Marvel show out so far. So I'm gonna give Moon Knight an 8 out of 10. Overall, a really solid watch, and I greatly recommend it. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you have any comments of your own, make sure to leave them down below. Trust me, I read them. Also, look at this graph. Okay, but as always, stay awesome, TooAwesome. Thanks for watching.